So we must do two things, two great things together, to encompass that enormous new view that lies before us, but to encompass it within the framework of science, to see it within the whole categorical framework of science, and to see that these two are not separate, but that they are wedded. The bigness of the idea, the newness of the idea, the greatness of it is one with the structure of science, the structure of being itself.
And so truth is coming, it's working in respect to everything that is not meeting the standard, everything that is not aligned with and carrying out the whole standard of truth. And so what does truth look like when it comes to deal with injustice, with falsehood, with deception? You see that in the D, what is being dealt with. Any sense in the Word, if we look in the Word, we see that it's the claim that a lie can prevail and not the truth, but that a lie can gain sway over any situation. What is a lie? It's a falsehood. It's a deliberate stating of something that is known by the deliverer to be untrue. You can hear that this is the counterfeit of the word in truth, to deliberately state something that you know is not true. This is a lie. It's a falsehood. It is a deception. What would that counterfeit be from the standpoint of the Christ? We would see that it would be a denial, to deny the truth, a denial of truth, contradiction, you see, to contradict the truth, to simulate a simulation of truth's work. This would all be a counterfeit from the standpoint of the Christ. And so in Christianity, it's any sense of inconsistency. Actually, these follow beautifully, that when you have a lie, when a lie is stated, a falsehood is stated, deception is perpetrated, that lie will be a denial of the truth. Whenever you have a denial of the truth versus the truth, you have contradiction. Contradiction or self-contradiction. You have not the actual work of truth, the working of truth, but a simulation of truth's work. And this leads to, in Christianity, a realm sense now of what the outcome of that is. It's a whole field, a sphere of inconsistency, of discrepancy. It's sickness. This is where sickness comes from. There's some discrepancy in the whole, some lack of wholeness, some inconsistency in the whole. And that sickness is an unsoundness, an infirmity. You see, that goes against the divine self-affirmation of truth, the fact that every idea affirms truth, is firm in the truth, that we are firm in the truth. If we are not firm and solid and set in the wholeness of truth, there's an infirmity somewhere. That infirmity is an indication that there's an unsoundness in the whole. The whole is not sound. The whole is not whole. This term soundness, of validity, the validity of truth, comes out so much in logic, if you know that. And, we were talking a lot about the true deductive argument and a divinely deductive argument, that wherein all the premises are right, the reasoning is right, and the conclusion is right. That this is a deductive argument is actually a sound argument. It is valid. An argument can be valid but not sound. But if it is sound, it is both sound and valid. And this is reflected in the way we describe the lack of health, not being healthy, not having that health, that wholeness of truth, that we say that there's an unsoundness, infirmity, invalidism, you see, are all counterfeits of truth and the consistency of truth within us. And science would say, well, this is, from my standpoint, error. It's error, it's falsity, false evidence, you see, bearing false evidence, invalidity, which is different from invalidism, invalidity, and theodicy, just generally the claim that we need error in order to bring out truth. And we were looking at that final term in under D in Christian Science, which gives us the counterfeits, and the final term that we take in the counterfeits at every one of the points in the 7, if that makes sense. The final counterfeit is always giving a counterfeit belief about God. And here it is theodicy. I had been looking for my definition, which I felt very happy about because it was drawn from the textbook and I couldn't find it, so I asked Sandy to check her dictionary, which is a very fine one. And the dictionary definition is a vindication of divine justice in allowing the existence of evil. And then we looked up vindication, and so the definition really becomes that theodicy would be a justification of the claim that divine justice allows the existence of evil. Okay, so we're going to look now at the B. We're going to see how truth, dealing with these claims, false claims against truth, counterfeits of truth. And at the point of the word, what do we see? Really, that truth comes as the potency of truth to its suppositional opposite. Truth is the potency of truth. And to be potent is to be effective or powerful in action. Truth comes as the healer, as the redeemer, the savior, in other words. And then when we touch the Christ, in terms of asking that same question about dealing with supposititious error, you see a note there. It says, please see insert page. Well, now you see that on this insert page for the Christ, on the level of Christian Science, in category B, that I had taken those many, many ideas that show the handling of error by truth, and I began to try to sort them out. And so the first thing that I did was to sort out those that I felt were the Christ, had the Christ tone within the calculus. And then as I took all of those ideas, I began to see even more order within them, a calculus order. And it may or may not be so, but I present it to you now for your working edification. So this is how it came forth as a final product. That within all of those ideas of what the Christ is doing with error, there seemed to be a word sense. And that word sense would be first that truth uncovers error. unveils error, and it discloses error. All of those being used in the textbook, they seem to be a Christ sense with a touch of the Word. So to uncover or to disclose or unveil all have something in common. They talk about bringing error out into the open, to make it known, to make known that which is concealed or hidden or disguised, perhaps even to throw the light of truth upon that which seems to be hidden. So error is, first of all, uncovered by truth. You know, this is true in any field, that when you see the truth about that field, when you begin to understand what the truth is in that field, this is an automatic uncovering of what is untrue. You know, it's no big secret, no big magical process. It's a scientific process. So that when you study music and you begin to learn what constitutes music, what is musical, you at once see what isn't musical, right? And you don't see it as a reality. You see, oh, this isn't music. There's only music, and music is music, and there is nothing but the correct sense of music. And anything that is unmusical is not music, and is perhaps a mistake about music, something that hasn't been understood about music. And so the Christ there as the Word uncovers error, unveils that which is error. You see, that which isn't truth. It discloses that which isn't truth. Then you have a Christ sense coming in. What does it do about that which has been disclosed and uncovered? It denies error. Truth denies error, declares it untrue, false, contradicts error, asserts the opposite, contradicts. Following that, you have asserts the opposite. That's what truth does. It denies error, it contradicts error, it asserts the opposite, it is contrary to error, it goes against error. Okay? Then as Christianity, what is the outcome? A sense of the outcome now is that it destroys error. And then within all of those terms are many, many terms that we have had from the compendium, from our research of the textbook. Actually, there are many, many more instances of how she describes truth dealing with error that we don't even have down, but we have a very fine selection of them. But one could see that there are many terms now that describe how truth destroys error. And when you look more closely at them, you find that they too fall within the calculus. And so a word sense would be that that destruction of error is that truth overpowers error, overcomes error, conquers, and vanquishes. And I have put them in an order, the inner order I've always tried to make, that there's an overpowering and then an overcoming, a conquering, and a vanquishing. A vanquishing is a complete conquering of it. And then as it is conquered, as error is conquered, a Christ sense comes in and takes that which is conquered and subjugates it to truth, subdues it. It's subdued and it is subjected to truth. And under truth's subjugation and subjection, then we have an outcome as Christianity, that error is dispelled, removed, cast out, wiped out, neutralized. To be neutralized is to be made ineffective. Ineffective. To counteract the effectiveness of, the force of. And finally, a touch of science. It exterminates and consumes error. So that's the final, finished for the destruction of error. Then how would science look at the whole thing? Science says, truth, annihilate error. And that sense of annihilating is causing to come, yes, you see, it has to do with causing it not to have an existence, not to be. Then you see under the annihilation, those two terms, eradicates and obliterates. And to eradicate is to root out and to bring about the extinction of by the working of natural processes. And to exterminate, you see, the extermination back under Christianity as science. That extermination is a complete and wholesale destruction. Okay? To consume, everything is burnt up by the fires of truth. Then that annihilation sense gives us the highest sense of how science would deal with error, that it would render it not to exist at all, and would eradicate it, bringing about its complete extinction through natural processes. So that is the Christ, which is again reflecting itself through the calculus. And when we see Christianity within that calculus, we see again a pattern across scale, another patterning of the four, and the whole thing showing us the process of the Christ as it is dealing with error. And then we have a result, an outcome in the B at the point of Christianity. That we have an outcome, namely what? That truth prevails. It prevails over error. And that we have the healing. Truth heals. So we get the healing of truth, the redemption of truth, truth redeeming all, recovering all, regaining all, saving. That truth sets man free. She will say in the textbook that truth opens the prison doors and sets the captive free. It's beautiful. And we've summed that up really in setting man free. That truth is the victor, that it is victorious. And when we come to science, we have the handling of truth, the handling of error by truth through the eyes of science, and this would be the judging, that truth judges error. It is the universal remedy. Beautiful. It's the remedy. What is a remedy? What is that? Yeah.
A specific medicine.
Yes, yes. So in mind, we have the medicine of mind. You remember we saw that? How mind deals with the counterfeit of mind. It is the medicine. How mind deals with error is through the medicine of mind. But here, it is the remedy of truth, and truth being the universal remedy. So whenever you have a remedy, you have a specific medicine. This is why so often Mrs. Eddy will use truth and mind together, or mind and truth together, and think very much in the practice chapter to show that we need both. we need, first of all, that our medicine is mind, that the medicine is mind. And then we need truth to specify that medicine. We need the specific truth. Very interesting here is that it is the universal remedy. Truth is really the remedy for everything. It is the sovereign antidote, the textbook says. Truth is the sovereign antidote. You need an antidote when there has been a poisoning of some sort, and that you need to counteract specifically that claim, and truth is the sovereign antidote. So science would see that really in respect to its opposite, in respect to error, that truth is an alterative to the entirety, to the whole. Do you remember that statement? Truth is an alterative to the entire system and will render it every whit whole. Yeah, beautiful. Alterative. A remedy, an antidote that is altering the system, that's altering the whole of the system, that wants to render that system completely whole in every way. And so, truth is working out the nothingness of error. That's perhaps the highest sense we have of how truth handles its counterfeit error. It works out the nothingness of it.